The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Because that was the advice I received.
Question number 5, the Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. Compared to 2012, does the Reserve Bank forecast the New Zealand dollar, as measured by the trade-weighted index, to strengthen or weaken in the next 2 years? And does he believe this will make New Zealand exporters more competitive or less competitive?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Reserve Bank recorded the trade-weighted index at 74.5. Their forecasts issued recently forecast that this will fall to 72.0 by March 2015. All other things being equal, the forecast fall in the exchange rate will increase the competitiveness of exporters. By comparison, the same index increased by 9% between March 2007 and March 2008, the period the member may recall.
Supplementary. In respect of that period, has he read reports of a politician in 2007 warning, and I quote, that the New Zealand economy could not sustain exchange rates at US 74 cents, end quotes, and further saying, quotes, it would lead to substantial job losses and closures? And was that politician the then Leader of the Opposition, John Key?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, yes, I do, and that's exactly the point. Fortunately, the national government took over the economic levers in late 2008, and since then we have focused relentlessly on the competitiveness of our businesses, undoing the damage of the previous government, and that is why our exporters have sustained a higher exchange rate. They've shown great resilience over the last few years, and with the government's continued backing, their performance will continue to improve.
The Honourable David Parker.
If it's all going so well, why do the Reserve Bank, the Treasury and various economic forecasters show our current account deficit getting worse?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, compared to the period 2006 to 2008, when the current account deficit was 8% or above, that's minus 8% or above, the forecasts now show it peaking at around 5.5% or 6%, which is a considerable improvement. But there's no doubt that where we do agree with the member is that the high exchange rate, relatively high exchange rate, is making it more difficult for this economy to rebalance more towards exports and away from domestic consumption. Our response to that is to focus on the competitiveness of our businesses, and every time we try to do something to make it easier for businesses to employ people, the opposition oppose it because fundamentally they're against growth and jobs.
Order. The Honourable David Parker.
Well, I think we've got a problem here, sir. How does he propose to reduce our current account deficit when, because of the overvalued currency, exporting is forecast to get even harder, resulting in even more job losses, imports are forecast to become even cheaper, harming our local industries, yet monetary policy conditions continue to be myopically focused primarily on inflation?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, actually, Mr. Speaker, the monetary policy conditions have been loosening somewhat because our banks are finding that the costs of raising money in the international market are dropping, and this is being reflected in mortgage interest rates continuing to drop to the lowest levels they've been in 50 years. New Zealanders who go and borrow money today are paying less than they have at any time in the last 50 years. But with respect to the current account deficit, if we could just lower it, we would, but actually we can't. We're focusing on supporting our businesses to be competitive and assisting them to make the decision to employ another person, invest another dollar and sell another product successfully in our export markets. One thing we won't be doing is hiring more photocopiers to print money, which is the opposition's policy.
Order. John Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. What reports has he seen on alternative proposals for managing the New Zealand dollar?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I have seen reports that the best way to deal with the challenges of the New Zealand economy is to print money, because that looks easier than actually making our economy more competitive. We completely disagree with those reports. They come from the Greens Labor opposition, and I think it's what they regard as, quote, new thinking about how to manage an economy. We're totally opposed to it.
Supplementary.
The Honourable David Parker.
In light of that last answer, can the Minister point to any example where the Labor Party has called for the printing of money? Because I don't know of it.
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I'm not responsible for that, but I can say that the senior...
Point of order, the Honourable David Parker.
Mr Speaker, the accusation was made in the last answer that the Labor Party had been doing exactly that, and I asked him to clarify what evidence he has for that.
I hear the member. I think, given what the Minister had said, I think the question was not unreasonable, because the Minister can be questioned. I think they include in their answer. And the question was a straight question to the Minister whether he'd seen any evidence, was it, of the Labor Party arguing for the printing of money as part of economic policy. The Minister, the Honourable Bill English, to answer.
What I can say is that the senior economic spokesperson for the opposition has made those statements.
Order. Now, the Minister made a statement. He's being questioned on it, a straight question on it. He should answer. And the question was not about... The question was about whether or not the Minister had seen any evidence where the Labor Party had called for the printing of money. The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, it may be the case that I've been confused between the senior economic spokesperson for the opposition and the Labor Party finance spokesman, and I'll concede it's possible that the Labor Party haven't said that. But what they have said is that they are breaking up the bipartisan consensus over monetary policy, and they're going to go in a different direction. The Greens have said that direction is printing money.
Order. Order. Now, though I gave the members of the opposition a chance to question the Minister on a matter that was important to them, and I don't think the interjection is actually that helpful, and they will now stop. That's not helpful either.
Question number 6, David Bennett.